you have nothing going.
Hold on. Let's see if that did it actually. Go live. Okay, if let's see if that did it. There we go. There we go. Now we're
Oh,
on. All
okay.
right.
Okay, let's see.
So let me just
Okay,
explain how this is
sounds
going.
like the stream's going, but audio's a little bit delayed. But other than that, we should be good.
All right. So let me just explain how this is going to go for anyone just tuning in. My name is Raid Ghost. I am the author of Wings of Freedom, um, stories for stories in green text from Discord, and Madness Project side story. Right here with me now is Obsidian-Ace, and he is the author of Retribution. And he has kindly decided to give me his time and answer a few questions here.
Well,
So,
I hope this doesn't only benefit yourself as anybody else who may be watching. So I guess without further ado, let's get this going, shall we?
all right. Now, let's pull up. So, first question. What inspired you to
All
take up
right.
writing?
All right. So to answer that question, we're gonna have to go back a little bit, a couple of years, and the
Okay.
reason why is because I didn't initially start writing and or like have any desire to write under the idea that writing itself was going to be a handful. It was going to be much too difficult for me to like just undertake by myself without a team or anything else like that. And yeah, it was really under the radar. And at the time, I would rather just enjoy the stories that other published authors and like other writers on the web and everything else. I enjoyed content from others. I wasn't really sure if content for myself was going to be any good, but I guess again to answer the question of like what inspired me to get going was a reoccurring concept or a reoccurring theme that I've been seeing in stories that kind of like shattered the what's the word for it again? Like it really shattered the moment or something like that. Like it just like the whole thing just like goes downhill because it's just like 1 minute like you have a character that's doing like one thing, they stick to their personality, they stick to their goals and something like that, and then all of a sudden it kind of just changes and it just like flips on its head and it's just like whoa, wait a minute.
Are
I
you
guess like it just like it broke the whole
are you talking
consistency.
about the breaking the status quo?
Not really breaking the status quo, but okay, I guess what I'm trying to get at is like what inspired me to write was again, I just kept seeing a problem, and the problem was like there was a consistency that had like between like a variety of books I've been reading at the time, and the problem was that characters would deviate from what authors had originally written them up to be, and there would be like no like filler or no explanation as to why they would change.
Hmm.
So for example, I guess to like throw this out there, let's throw a character who's like all about the money. A character that doesn't care about doing anything else except for, just like trying to do the job, get a paycheck and then go home. Like just like the standard 9 to 5, he only cares about money. He doesn't have any social life whatsoever.
Hmm.
Just a average day. With zero explanation whatsoever, sometimes again, like this is a example that just like I'm trying to explain here is that the character would just randomly change and like all of a sudden like they're no longer all about the money, they have like a social life, and then everything just flips on its head and there's like no explanation as to like why they can just like wake up. Like there's nothing happened. There was like supposed to be like, oh, like what made you change, or like what made this character decide to like gosh, I'm really bad at explaining this.
You're basically what made them change their values.
Well, I guess the best way I can explain it is the best way I can explain it, sorry, audio went dead. The best way I can explain it is again the consistency would be shattered, and there's no pivotal moment that makes you change. Like for example, in writing, like for example, like let's take something like that's like Star Wars. I know it's a horrible example right now, especially with Disney standards, but let's go back to like the first movie. Let's look at Luke Skywalker. He has no intentions of going with Ben Kenobi to go and travel the stars or anything else. He'd rather be at home with his family.
Right.
It's only after his family gets killed that he decides to say, well, I've got nothing left here. I better get going.
Classic hero's
Well,
journey.
take away, yeah, the classic hero's journey. I can't remember the designer of the hero's journey, at least not the name off the top of my head. But that pivotal moment right there where his family is taken away from him is what causes him to go on this journey with Ben. In some of the stories I've seen, that pivotal moment is nowhere to be seen. They just change on the dime and nothing really makes sense. It's just like, what just happened? What made them change their mind?
It's basically like a flip of the coin.
Yeah, flip of the coin, the moment shifts, and then it shatters the immersion. It really breaks, I don't know, like it's you're sitting there reading a story. You get in there, like you kind of like you follow along, and it's just like, yeah, I know what this is like. It's like watching a movie. It's like, then all of a sudden it just like the character completely turns on its head, and they're not even the same person I was watching a minute ago. And it's just like, whoa, what just happened? So, I guess what inspired me to again start writing now that I'm done finally getting that stupid analysis out of the way. What inspired me to start writing was the entire idea that like I could probably tell a good story. It was more like a dare or a challenge myself to, like really, I guess like I had an interest at like thinking of stories in my head and just trying to like, play out the events and like how things would go. I wanted to challenge myself and see whether or not I could tell a good story and see whether or not people would like it and see if I can do it the right way. If I can make everything consistent, have little to no errors. And again, I guess what got me to start writing was just a dare. And as dumb as that sounds, that's my honest answer. I started all of this just by daring myself to see whether or not I can do this the right way.
Other people have started in weirder ways.
Oh, I'm sure.
So it's not the craziest
thing. Yes. At the same time, it's not exactly the smartest thing either with someone with no experience.
Yeah, true.
All right. So, if there was like any questions, like what inspired me to start writing the story that I have as of right now, or at least like start it, restart it, or to answer like those questions, I kind of wanted to. I don't know, like a lot of it has to do with like inspirations from games and media and like Hollywood at the time. Like a lot of it has to do with a lot of those things. But I think what you and a lot of people can agree with is that when reading a story, or at least like anything nowadays, we want something that's out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
We've read and we've heard dozens of crime novels. We've read and we've heard dozens of action flicks and superheroes and everything else like that a lot nowadays. People want something that has, like a little bit of flair to it.
Something unique.
Yep. Because if you look at some of the movies and like some of like other stories and like other books and media and stuff like that, crime novels and crime TV shows, they're not bad, but it's the same thing repetitively. Like it's the same story over and over again. Somebody does this, the guys in the background work through all these clues, they accuse the wrong people, and sometimes they don't accuse the wrong people, but it's a repetitive thing that people really see. And the same thing again, it goes for superheroes and like other media and stuff like that. So I wanted to tell something that was a little bit more grounded, and I really, really, really wanted to emphasize on the realism, or not really realism, but this like, how do I put it? Yeah, I guess realism and just like in real life reactions. Like I really wanted to focus on how people would like respond, react, and just like how people would like treat certain scenarios. Because especially when it comes to like dealing with, I guess what's the best way I can explain it? Let's say you're looking at something that's like fantasy or something like that.
Right.
You have somebody who goes on this journey. They get with a party. They have a group of friends, and some way somehow they win. Everybody ends up in it. The whole story's a-okay. No one really gets hurt. People get battered and bruised. But at the end of the day, the hero wins, right?
That's one way of doing it, yeah, I suppose.
Realistically, and in my opinion, I know this is not really much of a realistic term, but there are many scenarios where characters, I know a lot of people will say this out there in Hollywood, like especially with like movies like Fury and stuff like that, where it's just like, oh yeah, these characters or this little cast and crew, they really just get by because plot armor, and the whole reason why they live is because, well, if they die, the movie's over, roll credits.
Well, there's also the whole fact that not to say anything, but certain actors also have contracts, like say The Rock, where they can't lose.
I'd
Honestly.
rather just keep my toes out of Hollywood, especially with like those contracts and everything else like that. Because at the same time, I respect everybody. What you do is amazing. You entertain, and you do a fantastic job at doing that. But I will agree that yeah, some certain actors do have those contracts. And again, it's not like I'm gonna start laying out names, but at the same time, like like when it comes to storytelling, there's gonna be points in times where the villain's gonna win and they're gonna take something from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you're not just going to get back. It's not like they're going to take your pocket watch or like your little friendship bracelet. They're going to take something from you, and they might just burn it in front of your eyes, throw it off a cliff, or they're just going to make it so you can't get it back.
So what would be your best example of
So,
that? Off the top of your head.
well, the best example, off the top of my head, the best example is if anybody here has seen the Expendables series.
Mm-hmm.
In Expendables 2, towards the very start of the film, Sylvester Stallone's character, along with Jason Statham, they all are responsible for going and investigating a plane wreck that has very important documents that give the location of a uranium site, or like big bad bombs and weapons and stuff like that. What happens towards the start of the film is they have a rifleman with them named Billy, and he is just a sniper. He's just a military guy who joined the club. He's now a mercenary for hire, just like the rest of them. And he's he's committed to being with the boys, and he's committed to the team. He wants to do his part. Young blood, fresh off the street. You want to keep this guy alive. At the very start of the film, the antagonist kills him right in front of everybody else, and again, he's gone. You don't get that back. And realistically, what I see, and this is like me just kind of getting like a little repetitive on the like the downplay of other stories and stuff like that. But what I see a lot of the time is characters get hurt, but a few days later in the infirmary, in the hospital or something like that, is again, especially when it comes to crime novels or just like anything out there that has to deal with like some semblance of storytelling. Most of the time, the characters only hurt, but they're they're just down but not out. They're not gone. And like other examples could be like again like heirlooms from like other individuals that are taken from you, and then like eventually the whole story is about like this character going back to go and get it back. For example, like in one of the more recent releases of video games, they have stuff like, what was it, the Avatar, that was like really comparable to Far Cry. The entire story is based around this concept of your bracelet being stolen by what's it called, a human, because you're supposed to be a captured Na'vi. The entire basis of the story is the guy who kept you, raised you, kidnapped you from your family. He steals a bracelet from you, and the entire story is centered around the idea of you going to get it back. Yes, there is a lot more than just that, but a good chunk of the story just feels like, yeah, you're just going to go and get this one item back, and after that, you don't care what the heck happens else.
Yep.
It's really rancid, and I feel like I'm really dragging this along.
Yeah.
First interview, what can I do?
I mean, people are here for you at the end of the day, so.
Well, if they're here for me, well, sorry if I'm a little chatty. I do wish I was a little bit more professional in this kind of manner, and I wish I had a more laid out way of answering these questions. And I feel like I don't know. I just feel like I could have had a little more preparation than going into this, but
There's more.
we work with what we got. All right. Now that I'm done rambling on, let's answer that next question, because I feel like we've taken that for quite some time.
All right. Well, well, the second question was, what was your favorite book to work on? But considering that realistically you've only worked on one.
True. You guys have only seen that I've worked on one. The truth about the whole matter is I have worked on other stories before. Some were mine, some weren't mine. One story I do have on a back burner that I've been trying to keep on a, I guess, like more hidden outlook was this what's it called? I think it was like Descendant. Crap. I had like a whole story based on the concept of a prince he has unknowingly lost his entire kingdom when he was a child, and is now living somewhere else, and he's now the sire to another prince who has to go and compete in this tournament in order to earn the harvest between three different like royalties, those being like another knight's kingdom and a Viking tribe. So the concept that I had at the time, and I'm still working on it, it may or may not ever see the light of day, but the concept I was working on is the whole idea that there is this goddess, oracle, or some semblance of a messenger that says, okay, bring the combatants here and let's, get this party started. Let's get this tournament going. what
Okay.
ends up happening is while when the forgotten prince arrives, being the sire to another prince, the oracle says there are 4 contestants. Everybody's confused. There's only supposed to be 3, so they have to figure out who the 4th one is. Well, the oracle, the messenger, they point them out, and now they have to compete for themselves because they are the heir to the throne of a kingdom that no longer exists. And if he wins, well, he wins the harvest.
Okay.
He gets everything to go to his kingdom of just himself. He gets to get out of like being not necessarily enslaved, but he's no longer in dutiful service to anybody, and he gets to earn a life for himself. So I figured it would be a niche concept. It's not my favorite story to work on. I do enjoy working on Retribution a lot more, but that is a story that I did have on the back burner for quite some time, and I've really enjoyed writing out some of the scenes that involve some of like the more medieval fighting. I like the more up close, like nitty gritty type styles of like writing. I really do enjoy like how people describe characters going toe to toe with swords and shields. It's fun. I really enjoy those really like adrenaline based moments.
I mean, you are a fan of For Honor, so.
I mean, guilty as charged, but at the same time, For Honor, it's a game. People play games, they enjoy games, and that can be for a variety of different reasons. But what really sets stories away from games is stories don't explain the emotions, the feelings of the characters, like the people who actually have stuff left to lose. When you're playing a game, you're just playing a game, you know?
Right.
There's nothing really in for you to lose other than, your pride.
Yeah, I suppose so.
To give you guys all the title of that little again side project that I've been trying to keep under wraps, but now that you've shed the spotlight on me, I might as well give the title card out because why the heck not? I've been trying to do oh yeah, here it is, Descendant of War, and that was one of the ones I've been really trying to again keep under the radar, and that is something that I've been trying to work in the background. Is it the reason why uploads have been slow regarding Retribution? No, I have college and personal matters that I have to blame for that, and I really wish I had a lot more experience when I first initially started writing it, because that way I probably could have gotten into a more steadier rhythm of doing things like that. But when I initially started, I was no older than, I guess, my 3rd or final year in high school. For everybody else out there who has no idea how old I am now, I am a quote-unquote college boy in his 3rd year. So I've invested quite a long time into writing. It's probably been around almost, I'd say probably 5 to 6 years now. All right, next question. What do you got for me?
All right. Fun fact. That question that you did, that was supposed to be question number 8. Are there any future projects you want to work on? So that's
Oh,
two questions.
oh shoot.
Oh, so
Oh, sorry.
that's 2 questions down. So next question, I suppose. What is your favorite chapter you've written so far?
Ooh. Okay. So to answer that question, I might have to throw 2 of them out there to you because I have the first initial write and then the rewrite that I've done. So I think my favorite chapter that I've liked writing about in the first book, it would probably be the second to last or the last chapter of Hybrid Retribution, and the reason why is because I finally got to dive in on some more of like the whole like in it for yourself type moments. Like, okay, I really got to manage resources, play out my cards, and I really got to focus on like the moments and stuff like that, like those really intense, like adrenaline, like quick, what's it called, on the fly decision making. And I really liked the way that I described it at the time. But again, that was me back in high school. I was really rushing things a lot. Things really felt unpolished, and I really felt like I wasn't doing a good job at describing anything. In the rewrite that I've done, I'd say easily my favorite chapter that I've written would probably have to be, at least as of now, the first or second chapter. And the reason why is because I really enjoyed how smoothly I was able to get things to line up. And I know that like there's not like a whole lot of storytelling that kind of goes into it, but I really like how I was able to really get descriptions going, how I was able to really roll into like environment building and world building and just trying to like set the tone for like the, I guess like what would be the best way for it, just like setting placement. I really enjoy doing
Roughly
that.
setting the tone of the story.
Yeah, well, not just setting the tone, just like the setting in general, like just the place. It's like really designing the environment, designing the like what's here, what's there,
World
like what
building.
am I looking at, yeah, world building, what colors are present. I really enjoyed doing that, and on the rewrite, I'm proud to say that I really feel like I've done a better job at doing that than I have in the I guess like the first go when I was just like basically publishing skeletons at that point.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's my answer of like what's my favorite chapter in those two regards. Let's see here. I think the next question you planned on asking me, if I'm not mistaken, is let's see here. Oh yeah, how did I come up with the characters, right?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there, especially like a lot more professional writers and stuff like that, they have this idea for a character, but you know, like you need something to base it off of. You need some semblance of inspiration to get it going. So a lot of the characters that I have, they're not extensions of me because that would be a little embarrassing, at least for me to say on my part, to say like, oh yeah, these are all me. That's all based on me. Me. No. A lot of the characters that I have, they're either based on people that I've interacted with in real life, or they're based on not necessarily like character concepts, but like reoccurring themes that you see in films and media and stories in general. I've tried to do my best to kind of like give them a personality that's a lot more like centered around them rather than just the stereotype itself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, for example, I guess like throw a character out there that definitely can fit into like that example would probably be Javier and Gray from the rewrite. The
Hmm.
idea behind Javier was supposed to be like this, you know, really like high octane type dude who's like really into like cardio, like really good at like running. And like he was just, you know, just for craps and giggles, he's also a joker. That speedster joker type stereotype that people seem to like really enjoy. A good example of like seeing that in other media would be like Octane from Apex Legends and like other like, you know, like like I guess you could say like racers and stuff like that from like Fast and Furious and like some of like the other characters who are just like real jokesters like 90% of the time they don't really take anything seriously.
Right.
So that's where at least characters like Gray, the my little trickster fox character that I have that I don't think I put a lot of screen time into just yet, but hopefully you guys will sooner or later.
I know
But yeah,
someone's gonna be happy to see that.
oh, I'm quite sure. But like I said, so like a lot of the characters that I have, they're based on like a stereotype that people have seen, but other characters, they are based off people that I've known. Nobody online, I'm happy to say. I know I do spend a lot of my time hanging out with a great many people on Discord, hanging out playing games with a lot of the friends I have made IRL, but a lot of people that I've based characters off of have been close friends of mine, and if they haven't been close friends, they are based around like not necessarily people that I would like say that I look up to, but people that I respect. Like, you know, people that I understand like know how to get the job done, people who really know how to keep their cool, and people who know how to like, keep their head on straight and like not overreact when things start to go crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to throw names out there because I'd like to keep my anonymity, but let's just say that a lot of the people that or at least a lot of the characters that I have designed, they are more centered around people that I have met or again, people that I respect and people that I hang out with. But for the most part, yeah, that I guess that answers that question. They're either based off of a Hollywood trope, I guess is like the best way I can explain that. And if it's not a Hollywood trope, it is based off people that I do enjoy spending time with on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm. Well, that's interesting.
All right, what else you got for me?
All right. Next question. Next question. So, what was your favorite character to make, and what was your least favorite?
Okay, favorite character to make. Um, surprise, surprise. My favorite character to make is not my main character Cyrus, or as previously known, Cole. And I'll get into that later. But I'd have to say my favorite character to work on. It's probably been, um, let's see here. Well, let's not see here. It should be one of those things where it's just kind of like right off the top of my head. But I think my favorite character to like kind of like at least work on, like because like it's just like easy to work with them. I'd probably have to say it's probably been Javier. And the reason why I say Javier, and I know I've already mentioned him previously as like the speedster slash jokester, but the reason why I like working on Javier is because out of everybody in the group, he's the youngest. He's the not necessarily like the brightest in terms of like IQ, but he's got a really bright, vibrant personality. A lot of the stuff he does is like more close around like that family type like interaction. Like he's always playing with everybody. He's always trying to crack jokes. He's always just trying to like really be upbeat, really happy-go-lucky. And because of that, it's made me really not necessarily like happy to work on him, but it's made me like really I not take it back. It has made me happy to work on him. It's really enjoyable to work on him. It's really easy to like kind of like get him into character, and I don't have to like try and sit there for 5 minutes trying to ask myself how he would respond, because with the way the character is designed, it's kind of like secondhand nature at this point. You know that he's going to respond in some sort of jokester way, and if he's not going to respond in some sort of jokester way, he's going to start, just like nabbing and punching, like throwing like small jabs and stuff like that. Other not players, other characters, and like they'll get like a whole like little scuffle going, and then Ire has to sit there and kind of like wring them all back on together. Javier has been my favorite to work on. My least favorite to work on has probably got to be Blackburn in my first story, and the reason why I hated working on him or working with him is because his character felt so rushed. None of the decisions he made ever really made sense. A lot of the stuff was there just to push the plot along with no explanation whatsoever. He was just basically there to be the paper pusher. He was there just to fill the shoes of just simply the antagonist. And at the time of writing, I did have a reason for why he was doing the things that he was doing, but it didn't strike me as like a big compelling reason as to do it. So like it was a reason, but it just wasn't big enough or important enough or a major enough of an event that was going to cause him to go and do, or not really do, but to go and make for himself a massive army, the privatized company, to go and basically do his own bidding because he's sick and tired on relying on others to do what he thinks that needs to be done.
Right.
So he's my least favorite to work with, or at least work on, because it felt so like embarrassing to work on him at first. I do like the way that I'm going to be taking the new baddie now. I have a more fleshed out character to work with on that. But yeah, that he would be my least favorite character to say that I've like had the pleasure of working with, or like just trying to figure out, okay, well, how is he going to respond? What's he going to do? And all this other stuff.
Right. So.
All right.
Well, the next question was, how did you make the book? But
How did I make the book? I guess the best way to like not everybody here, like especially if you're like an online writer, it's kind of simple. You either start on like Google Docs, Microsoft Word, or you just write it in the browser that you're using or something like that. And you kind of just go from there.
mm-hmm.
But people, I guess, like you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear like the process of like how I do it. You want to like you probably want to say like, okay, like how do the concepts come to me, or like maybe perhaps how like what's my writing process for like how I think certain events should take place, or like how like the whole story was like supposed to like go and like play out.
Yeah, probably would be better.
I think the best way I can explain it is, I guess, to explain that question or answer it would be, have you ever like just like tried to sit down, you think of like a cool action sequence, or you think of like a cool like revealing moment or something like that, like we're like supposed to like a set up in a big reveal.
Mm-hmm. Done plenty of those.
So plenty of those moments happen many times, but I guess it's like one key thing that like set like the whole story up in motion, and I guess like you could say like what were some of the inspirations behind telling the story. I'm probably gonna have to like start again listing off things in Hollywood, like Hollywood themes and or just like stories and stuff like that from other games, because a lot of what I have to write and or tell, it shares a heavy inspiration, which regrettably I do say I wish I could have just had it as like a minor inspiration. But some of the inspiration that I got for the story would be like stories like the more, I guess, like not necessarily like more, but one of the more recent releases of like the new iteration they've done with Venom. That was like a huge, not necessarily a huge inspiration, but like that was like a small inspiration that like kind of took a place in there. Another big, this will be a big inspiration that takes place. A big inspiration for like kind of like how things are like kind of like set up would be like more towards like Resident Evil. That would be like a bigger inspiration that kind of comes in with like the whole like privatized like corporations and stuff like that, and all these guys who are playing the role of the good guy when in reality they're not really the good guy. Like other examples could be like Escape from Tarkov with the whole terror group situation. And there's plenty of like other like, I guess you could say like franchises that did play a bit of a role in like the whole concept creation of this story. But I have to say like the biggest one would probably be from Resident Evil, and that would be like the defining like, hey, what was this mostly based on? I'd probably have to say it's not based heavily upon, but it's definitely inspired from a idea from Resident Evil. So now we kind of got that little embarrassing little admittance out into the open air. What else you got for me?
Well, I'm pretty sure this is something that most people will want to know about. Is there anything that you want to improve on?
Yeah, plenty. There's so much I want to improve on. One thing I wish I could improve on would be to like write filler. And the reason why I say filler is because I think I do okay when it comes to like trying to explain like massive plot points, like key events that take place and or like situations that are like supposed to help push the plot along. I think I do great when it comes to doing that. But one problem I really hate, at least again with myself, is that trying to write filler, trying to write characters interacting with each other on a more social level without anything that has to deal with the plot. I feel like I really struggle in those aspects and in those fields because I don't know, like it's just how do I step into the shoes of two different people and kind of talk with myself, you know? Like that's like I guess that's like
Yeah,
one of the easiest ways I can try and explain it is
I
like,
see how
okay,
that might be a
how
problem.
do I talk to myself whilst having two different backstories going at the same time? And even then, just to make it even more confusing, and I know like this is probably like a huge thing that happens like a lot of other stories, stuff like that. Okay, how do I do it with 3 people? How do I do it with 4 people? How do I do that with 5 and 6 and so on? It's like how do I, like how do I step into all these different people's shoes all at the same time with all their different backstories, and how do I essentially talk to myself?
Yeah.
It's a really hard thing. It shouldn't be hard, but it is for me, and I don't really have an explanation as to why that is. I guess one thing I can just say is just lack of experience, lack of actual like attempts at doing it. So I'm assuming that with practice makes perfect, and sooner or later I should be able to get it across. So that is definitely what I want to try and work upon.
I will say that I have the opposite of that kind of problem because I don't know what it is. I can write some dialogue between two different characters rather
You
easy.
can write the filler, but you can't write the plot.
It's more like that. I have a little bit of a problems when it comes to like scenes because I really do want to keep like I like competent villains, right? I like fight scenes
Right.
where the simplest of mistakes can result in some very serious injuries, or better yet, where even the cannon fodder get their moments to shine.
I would probably, actually, I might dive into that a little bit more with you on when it comes like, if we were going to try and discuss villains or heroes and stuff like that. But one thing I will say is that there are moments in time when it comes to stories when like the villain itself is supposed to be shown as incompetent. But one thing I really do feel like I should probably like throw out there is like, again, another Hollywood reference, like look at some of the movies that we get concerning superheroes nowadays when it comes to stuff like the Avengers or like other, again, Star Wars media and stuff like that. Let's go back to the Star Wars example, and I know this is me just picking on the same franchise again and again. But in the very first movie, they're investigating the Jawa crash, or not really Jawa crash site, but like the Jawa vehicle that gets like completely gunned down. Everyone around them is dead, and it's it's where Luke bought the droids from.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, in that scene, says that only stormtroopers have that accuracy to take them down with such precision. There's not a single time in the entirety of any other moment in the franchise that showcases them being accurate, precise, or actually, taking down targets that are not labeled as just simply cannon fodder.
At least not At least not in Disney canon. Maybe Legends. And if we're being, you know what? If I want to be generous, I would count Star Wars Battlefront, the first two Star Wars Battlefronts. If I want to be generous, but yeah, those that kind of accuracy fits more like Clone Troopers than anything else. If I'm being completely honest.
Oh, I would agree, but another example, again, I did say Avengers, and this is like, like not in the whole like Disney Star Wars films and stuff like that. Let's go take a look at Avengers. Let's get a little nitpicky with those guys now. But let's go pick Avengers Age of Ultron. Ultron's getting this whole thing set up. He's going to his final act. Like he's got the Sokovia floating in the sky, and he's got his whole army of mechanized, variants of himself, all ready to help make sure that his plan does not fail.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a single moment in time where any of his little doppelgangers do anything significant. Not one time. Every single one of them would be comparable to that of an Iron Man suit, because again, like Ultron is heavily based off of like, Iron Man's creation, at least in that film. Like it's Tony Stark's like little, what's it called? It's a second AI, so he's gonna take a lot of inspiration from him.
Tony Stark was 90. Built it.
All of those machines you could say are just, Jarvis at the I'm not saying Jarvis, but it's an AI at the wheels behind a suit, and you're telling me out of all of those machines, not a single one of them can land a hit, because the only person that dies
is Quicksilver.
In that is Quicksilver, and he doesn't even get killed by a robot. He gets killed by a Gatling gun from a Quinjet that Ultron boards. He doesn't even get killed by anything else. Like all of those little machines that Ultron spent so much time manufacturing, creating, and everything else, and like going on his whole speech at the start of when Thor taunts him and says, "Is that the best you can do?" And Ultron says, "This is the best I can do." Dude, your best fucking suck. You didn't do anything. All of those machines get picked apart, ripped apart, and obliterated easily with what seems to be little to no effort. But then,
to this day, that's still one of the to this day, it's still one of the most hated scenes. It's still one of the most hated scenes because. One,
it's not even a hated scene. I've never heard any hate about it. But...
Oh, that's mainly because from what I've heard, like it doesn't make sense for a speedster to get caught lacking in that same way, even though it's been pretty established.
It's just the entire concept. He could have just pushed Hawkeye and the kid out of the way, and he didn't have to sit there and eat lead. And I can get behind that. But the whole point I'm trying to take, like the second point I'm trying to take here is like look at Scarlet Witch during that entire event. She's sitting right there, and when she's asked, "Hey, do you have this? Can you defend this thing?" she rips apart a machine in less than 2 seconds. Like, Ultron's massive mechanical army is sitting right there, and you're telling me one person can just tear it in pieces with little to no effort? I get it. It's all supposed to be cannon fodder, and it's supposed to showcase how mighty our heroes are supposed to be. But the issue that it presents is not how mighty our heroes are, it's how incompetent the villain is. Sure. The only real threatening force in that entire battle is Ultron's main body, of which I asked the question, Ultron, if your main body is so powerful to do all of this, why not manufacture more variants of that? Why even bother with all the the little tiny guys? Like, why even bother doing all the tiny guys that aren't going to do anything when you can just make more of your big juggernaut tank selves that can dish out so much more damage than anything else that you've built until that point, other than just the whole Sokovia meteorite.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's not that you're showcasing how mighty our heroes are, it's how incompetent the villain is. Like, Ultron is supposed to be the end-all be-all of Tony Stark's problems. Like, this is supposed to be a huge fight that takes place, and it's supposed to be the stakes are supposed to be set so high to where the Avengers actually have to have a problem. Or not really a problem, but they all are struggling to deal with this problem in order to protect everybody. But the only thing I can see in every single scene is just the Avengers killing and taking apart all these machines and shutting down everything. The helicarrier arrives and everyone gets saved, and I'm just like, okay, so in terms of human loss of life, the only one who gets killed is the speedster, and yes, in a very stupid way. But then again, Ultron didn't get a second other, I don't even think he hurt anybody, not even an injury on anybody else. Everybody else walks completely scot-free away. There's a little bit of emotional damages.
Do you want to count civilians, or are we just going to not count civilians?
All the civilians, yes, like debris running and like the explosions, like yeah. So there's going to be a few cuts and bruises and possibly like a lot of like major bleeds and stuff like that need to get attended to. But Avengers side, like superheroes, like look at Black Widow, someone who doesn't even have any powers. She probably walks away from that with a bloody lip, nothing else. Hawkeye completely unscathed. You're
Yeah.
telling me two people who have no superpowers whatsoever, not even a super suit whatsoever, walk away from that with no broken bones and nothing else. And again, this is me just being nitpicky, and I know that I'm really just like putting a lot of pressure on Avengers and stuff like that. Again, great franchise, is the reason why it makes a lot of money, but I really kind of had to like really like set the tone of like why I get nitpicky when it comes to villains like Ultron and like the how incompetent villains are, because it's not just Avengers and Star Wars that have that problem. It's a load of other franchises and other stories that people have written and I've read, and it's just like the most competent villain that you have is the drug dealer in the back alleyway who sits there and laughs in the face of the police.
Mm.
It's not even your main guy, because out of all the mercenaries that you can send after the guy who's threatening you, our hero, out of all the guys that you can possibly send with your lower amount of money or lower amount of power, why does it feel like you're just sending just like people with broken guns that can't even shoot straight? It just, I don't know, it gets me really going. It's just like, dude, you can't even do your job. You have one goal in mind, you've set up your entire life for this one specific moment, and you're telling me one single person with glasses and athletics career is going to sidetrack your entire show simply because he knows exactly what you did and he's going to go and expose you in the public, and there's not a single thing that you can do about it because you just have nothing going for you. It's embarrassing. I like, what's it called? I love competent heroes in the face of all odds. At the same time, I love threatening villains because that's what gives the story actual weight.
Right.
All right, what do you got next for me? What's next?
All right. Let's see what we have next. I think we're um we're at the final question. I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh, really? How long has it been? Just about 30 minutes now?
I feel like it's been longer than that if I check the stream. If I check the stream right now.
I think it's only been a half an hour.
I feel like it's just been. How long has this been going on for? Let me just. Yep. 42 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
my perception of time's just a little bit off then. All right, what's the final question? What do you got for me then?
Unless you want to answer some bonus questions, but if anyone has any.
Oh, yeah, I'll probably answer some bonus questions. Can I speak English?
Yeah, but final
Yeah,
question.
I'll answer from you.
Do you have any books that you'd recommend to your readers?
Ooh. Okay, so is this like, okay, you're gonna have to get a little more specific here. Like any official books that are from like actual published authors, or stories that I've read that I've really found enjoyment in?
Any books at all that you would recommend?
Okay, so stories that I'd probably recommend that I've personally found enjoyment with. I'll list off published authors first. So that way, like, if you people out there who are like have actual like bookstores and libraries near you, you could probably actually go out and find these stories. But I've really enjoyed the Michael Bay series from, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I really did enjoy the Michael Bay series. It was like a really nice modern sci-fi story that I really enjoyed, and I actually, admittedly, would like spend roughly around like 4 hours a day just binge reading because I was so invested into the stories and they were so well like rounded that I actually just I couldn't put the book down. So I really enjoyed the Michael Bay series. That was really fun. Percy Jackson was okay, not my top favorite. Again, good for like young readers and stuff like that to kind of like go and like get like a nice introduction into like the whole idea of like a modern fantasy type genre. I guess like a reoccurring theme that a lot of people are seeing here is I do like modern like sci-fi, modern like fantasy stories, but that doesn't go with like like anything else. Like I do love the occasional medieval series and stuff like that. I really did enjoy the what was that, the Ranger's Apprentice series. That was really fun for me. Other stories would probably be like the Summoner. There's a lot of stories out there that I really would recommend, but those would be my top picks right there. Stories that are not published by all-star authors. I mean, to shed the light here, I kind of have to give you credit, don't I? Like, you got me on your little show here. I kind of have to throw you in, and like, I have to give you, like, like a little bit of
You
a
don't
spotlight here.
necessarily have to do that, but if you but feel free to. Feel free to.
Okay, then I won't. In all regards, though, I would say yours, and the only reason why is because you're telling a story that actually focuses a lot more on like the aerial combat side of things when it comes to your Wings of Freedom. I do enjoy that. I really do enjoy that we're getting a pilot stylized story. But I guess one thing I will say is when it comes to like writing for the stories that we tell, one thing I will say here is like, why do we write like stories like modern sci-fi or modern fantasy or something like that? And my explanation behind that would be because being human and living in a realistic setting is just boring. How many TV series and stuff like that, or like how many movies and like other media, just like how many stories have we read where it's just like good guy, good dude, good girl versus bad guy, bad dude, bad girl?
Honestly, not a. Oh, fuck, Neo, stop biting me. Not a lot, actually. Not a lot. If I'm gonna be completely
Because
honest, there's the best that I can give that are in like real life are like cop shows
again, like
or like CSI
a lot of it
Miami.
would be a lot of it would be like, yeah, like stuff like NCIS, Blue Bloods, and like it's a lot of those like situations where it's centered around like law enforcement. And I'm not saying that like that's the problem here, but like I'm saying like there's plenty of stories. Like for example, like take Tom Clancy and like some of the books that are centered around that. And I'm not talking about Rainbow Six Siege to all you people out there. Yes, I used to play that game. I really enjoyed playing it a while ago. Not really much in recent updates, but it does have a special place in my heart. It is where I got my first like official online friend group, so that's there for me. But some of the Tom Clancy books themselves, great reads. I actually would recommend those as well. I probably should have thrown them on the list as well. Yeah, Tom Clancy books are a must. I really do enjoy those. Let's see here. What else? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, like the environment, or not environment. The why do we write the stories that we do? So again, like the reason why I feel like people enjoy fantasy or people enjoy like modern sci-fi or just sci-fi in general, they want a sense of realism, but at the same time they want, for lack of better terminology, they want some semblance of magic to go along with it. Why do you think people like what's it called? Why do people enjoy what's it called, Star Trek and like like The Hobbit and stuff like that? People really enjoy those stories because it's got you're humans, like you got your day-to-day problems and everything else like that, but it's got like that fantastical adventure that people crave, like this whole idea that life doesn't have to be boring, and like here's like how like like just different like a different time period, different sciences can like really make like the whole mood completely shift. Magic's always a big thing, and I feel like that's a whole reason why a lot of people do write fantasy and a whole lot of people do enjoy reading such stories and getting invested into those. It's because people just hate the mundane world that we live in.
You
and I wish I
know,
could I could say that in
it's
a better way, but I feel like
there's
that statement's pretty strong.
I just want to point out that there's a reason why isekai stories are so popular these days.
Well, they're popular in their respective audiences, and again, that's the reason why. Is because people in those audiences, they find themselves like yearning for that, outside, like the normal world type story. And yes, that is a huge reason why stuff like isekais and stuff like that are big hits. But other stories, and again, if we're going to start talking about animes now, other animes, stuff like Demon Slayer, aside from the fact that its animation is gorgeous, I would say, yes, go watch that, not for the story, but for the animation as well, because I think the animation is beautiful.
No, it is. It's kind of funny that most people do agree that the story for Demon Slayer is kind of it's good, but
People,
it could be
well,
better.
all I can say is the story wise for Demon Slayer, and again, I'm not going to crap on it because it's one of my top picks out there. If you're going to go and watch Demon Slayer for the story, you're not really going to be like surprised or anything. It's going to be like the stereotypical hero's journey story, but the animation, the way that the story goes and the way the story plays out, and like the ways that they explain how like the abilities and everything else works, I think the creator was very like well in depth with what he did, to the point a lot of people really enjoyed it.
It's also one of the it's also one of those rare moments where the anime is better than the manga. Surprisingly, I think that's
Well, that is true. The anime is much more popular than the manga, but then again, I'm pretty sure the manga got some of the, hype picked up alongside of it because, people want to skip ahead. They want to see how it ends. So yeah, the manga, I'd say, yeah, people will enjoy it. Another anime that would kind of like fit the bill for like, again, like why do we want like more fantasy based stories or some like modern sci-fi? Like let's look at Kaiju number 8, one of the America's like more recent top hits on Crunchyroll. Huge success for season 1 to the point where they got a whole lot of not necessarily backing, but like they got like a huge boost in popularity, and for good reason. Great story. It's a new take on the whole like humans versus giants aspect or humans versus kaiju, and it's like they did a fantastic job with it on the concept.
Yeah, Kaiju Number 8 is a pretty good show.
All right.
I need to actually watch that actually.
Well, let's see here. Is there any other questions you might have for me?
Um hmm. I not really, but I'll just ask a question.
All right.
I'll just ask a question
All
here.
right.
So, what would you say would be your favorite genre, I suppose? Supposed to say.
Favorite genre.
For stories anyway.
Okay. Sorry. There's a personal reason why I don't like romance. So romance is not on the top of that list. Everybody who does like romance out there, sorry, that genre is not for me.
Fair.
I do like mystery on the occasion if it's written well enough to the point where I will enjoy it and it's not overly complicated. But I will say that I think the classic like just action adventure, or just like maybe on the occasion depending on like the story itself, slice of life is also really good. But I will say my top pick will definitely be adventure. I love the adventure. I love the whole idea of, again, just getting something a little bit more out of life instead of just the wake up, go to work, come home, and eat dinner. I love that. I love the whole, again, like the whole like adventurous story, the adventurous life. This, like why would I bother like like just doing the same thing over and over again when it's a new day, new experience, new fantastic event.
I'm not sure about asking this question, but Granite asked a question. Granite Molly.
Oh, all right.
So.
All right, shoot. What's the question? I'm not really paying attention much to the screen. I do apologize.
Oh no, it's not on the screen. It's something that he DM'd me about.
Oh, okay.
He would like to know, what do you think about other authors, ones that are working on their story but still not released, but have really good ideas.
Keep refining. That's what I have to say. That's my honest opinion on that. Is keep refining your story. Keep trying to do research on like how to improve your story, and like just like keep practicing, keep doing it. You'll really go far if you do intend on pursuing it. If not, it'll just if you're not trying to pursue writing as a career or writing as a hobby, it'll really improve your storytelling if you read a whole bunch of stories and then practice writing small scenes and then maybe even short stories. If you can do that, that will definitely benefit you in the long term compared to what I did, which was kind of just jumping straight into it and hoping that I do well.
I feel a little bit called out there.
Oh, is that what you did? You fool.
Yeah, I did it for like my first ever story. No one knows about it at this point. It's forgotten to time. I don't think I'll ever will bring it up unless I refine a few things here and there. But ever since then, I've just been working more and more on short stories and short scenes. And funny enough, the more that I started writing with short stories, the more I started having fun writing for those stuff. And a lot of those short stories that I wrote actually became full-fledged stories. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. Is there anything else you want to throw my way?
Let's see if we got any more questions that we can have answered here. Is there anyone who's watching the stream who would like to ask a question? Okay. It's an interesting. Granted has a question for both of us. What is the one
Ooh.
thing you wished readers understood about your story that most people never notice? Hmm.
Ooh. Okay. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first on this?
I think you should go first.
Okay. So one thing that I wish readers understood that I couldn't like get readers to understand. Um. Okay, I think I might as well just dive right out the front gate. It's definitely a problem on my part. It's not a problem with the readers because the readers, again, that you can only what's called interpret what I give you. And one thing I still haven't given the audience yet, at least for my story, is why the whole war is going on and what events led to the whole war starting.
Mm.
That is something I was even in the first book I didn't dive into, and that is something I do plan on diving into. Not as of right now, because I'm still trying to get like the whole setup going. But that is definitely one thing I wish I could have gotten like a better, like not necessarily like script for or something like that, but I wish that was something I could have dived onto earlier on. Because I feel like had I dived onto that earlier on, writing out the story would make a lot more sense to other people than just like, oh yeah, these guys are just killing each other for the sake of killing each other. Is there is no reason why it's going on.
Right. We have talked about that a lot, actually, during our conversations. Anything else you'd like to add, or is it my turn? Ace, you still there?
Yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say, like, is there anything more you'd like to add, or is there?
No, that's it. All right, your turn. You go.
Okay, so I guess one thing that I will say about that I do hope that my readers understand about my story is that everything has a reason for happening for every for everything that's happening in my story. Whenever I write certain details, I don't just put them in there for flavor text. There's a reason why I wrote it the way I wrote it. So a lot of the details, whether it comes to like how characters react to certain words, or how or maybe even how their eyes react, a lot of it might be foreshadowing for other scenes, or a certain thing about a character's backstory. I don't think people will catch on to that relatively quickly. And I also kind of hope, as I am writing chapter 4, I hope the one thing that they do understand is that each character has their own little feelings about the main cast. So it's not just always going to be you know, everyone likes each other. Like no, that's not realistic. That's not realistic. You have people that you hate interacting with. You have people that you like interacting with, and sometimes there are people that you like interacting with, but they are associated with people that you hate interacting with, and that is something that I do want to get across. But I mostly hope that my readers can pick up on the small foreshadowing that I am doing every then and now again. Kind of hope that they kind of pick up on that. But either way, I think that's my little piece. We're at an hour now, so and I'm out of question. I'm out of questions. So you want to just end it here?
Um,
Oh shit. I can't tell if that's from on my side or your side. Hey, she kind of cut it out a little bit there. Oh boy. Hmm. Ah. Um, do you think you can get it fixed, Ace? Ace is having some problems here. Ace, is your thing fixed, or you got it, buddy? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Oof. I can roughly hear you. Try it again. But can you hear me, I suppose?
Yeah.
Oof. Let me just check one thing real quick. Okay, so assessment 25 ms. So I don't know why it's doing that though. You sound like distorted. Speak one more time, please.
Okay. Is that any better or worse?
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Actually,
there we go. Okay, I figured out what the issue was. It laptop problem.
Doing this on your laptop.
I don't exactly have a nice PC that's not running anything other than Windows 10, and that shit's outdated, so I need to get it fixed.
I mean, you could.
Good news though, the laptop is pretty high quality, but what the internet problems always as usual.
I mean, people are still using Windows 10 mainly because Windows 11 is dog shit. So.
Yeah, but they did just barely cut support for Windows 10, so everyone's forced to kind of go and use the latter.
Still hasn't stopped most companies from still using Windows 10. Actually, I think they're finding work.
Very true.
From what I've heard, they found workarounds around it.
Anyway, all right. Now that we got that issue fixed, what was that last bit that you were trying to get me to do?
Oh yeah. Granite has a bit of a question.
Okay, hit me.
All right. I'm just gonna combine these two. If you could rewrite one character's fate without breaking the story's logic, who would you change? Number 2, what scene in your book cost you the most emotionally to write?
Okay, so I will say this right now. There's not really a scene that really costs me emotion. And the reason why is because you're not, at the end of the day, you're writing a story. These are characters that you are invested into. So I guess I can see how some people do get invested into their characters and like they regret, or not really regret, but they do feel bad, but they have to kill them because that's what drives the main character or characters to continue on or finish the job, or like the like the loss that drives people. I will say this though right now, that in terms of like actual emotional drainage, I feel like the first couple of chapters for at least 3 right for me have been a little bit draining, and the reason why is I feel like I'm not really telling much of a story, and that more or less I'm just getting pieces into place. Like again, if a lot of it just feels like I'm just doing a whole lot of setup and a whole lot of like just getting characters introduced, getting characters into position. And again, it just feels like all I'm really doing is just setup. I haven't really done anything that's like really heavily invested into the whole idea of actual storytelling, and that is a problem on my part that I do plan on fixing with, continued work on the story and continued updates. to answer the question though, if there was a character that I could change fate-wise into a different ordeal, the one thing I will say is no, I don't, and the reason why is because if there was a character's fate that I wish I could change or want to change or like have a different outcome planned for, that would imply that I made a mistake and there's something that I could have done that could have either A, changed how the whole interaction took place, or B, done something differently that could have, led to an entire different situation, which could have resulted in, for example, if we're going to talk about like the death of a character or the death of characters or like something that gets lost that results in a certain fate taking place. The reason why, again, I say no is because that would imply that there is something that I did on my part that I regret storytelling wise.
Certainly an interesting way of looking at it. I don't. He has this question to me as well, but I don't necessarily think that there. I don't necessarily think there's a character's fate that I want to change. It's a little bit too early for me to decide. That because I haven't even fully introduced everyone yet, but I can say roughly there's maybe one character whose fate that I think remains uncertain. And it's for my Madness combat story. You've already met him. Not gonna say who it is, but his fate is something that I might change in the coming future, in the coming chapters.
Fair enough.
Although, granted, it's still like chapter 1, so who knows where his story is gonna go.
I will say, like, that doesn't leave a lot of, assuming that people have read your story, which I have not, so I can't say who you have on the table and like give names out for people to guess. But because what you're implying is that you haven't actually gotten a whole bunch of chapters on the board, and there's not a whole bunch of characters that you have, on the table, so to speak, I'm willing to guess that it should be an easy guess for those who have read the story to just immediately go right off the bat and read you like a book and say, okay, this is what's going to happen to this character, and it's going to frustrate you. I'm calling it right now.
Roughly, yeah. I feel like that's kind of just gonna be the gist of it. Emotionally, that is a very tough question. Like, what have I written that emotionally drains me?
I said emotionally draining. It's like for him. It said like that has something to do with like your emotion, like what you've been emotionally invested into. Like, what was the hardest chapter emotionally for you to write?
Granted.
So it doesn't have to be he didn't specify like drainage.
Granted clarified. Yeah. He said like stress or pain.
Yeah. So okay. Then yeah, that painful for me. I already explained that. Yeah. So back to you.
I think one of the main things that that have cost me the most emotion, I would honestly have to say the pilot of Madness Project Side Story. Mainly because I just wanted to get the concept out for it. Just to get people invested in it. But with how long it took to get that concept, because originally I just wanted it to be like a quick thing, but unfortunately, me and quick writing don't exactly go hand in hand, as everyone here who has not only read my story but followed me can attest to. So that is one thing that I do need to improve on. Although I will say, like, I did try rewriting one of my older stories to see if I could, remake it. Worst decision of my life. Literally every time that I tried writing anything for it, whether it was dialogue or just a paragraph to describe a scene, I just found myself so emotionally drained writing it. Like, I don't have any fun. I don't have any feelings towards this. It's probably why I'm just gonna give it away to someone else. It's like one of the only few stories that I have that I feel comfortable giving away to someone else, so they can basically just do what they want. Well, not do what they want with it, obviously, but take it in a better direction than I ever could.
Anything else from the audience and or you that you plan on asking me? Or rather us, I guess, at this point now in the time.
It's really just Granite asking these questions, but what's a line in your book you're proud of but nobody ever mentions?
Ooh. Do you mean like a character interaction or just like a specific like lineup of words, descriptions, or something like that we're really proud of?
He didn't specify. He didn't specify.
Because my personal favorite thing that I've, at least my favorite section that I have written as of right now for the rewrite, unfortunately has not yet been seen by eyes yet because I still haven't updated the book. But there is a scene where I have like a description of exhaustion taking place, and I feel like I really hit home all 9 yards of like the basic feeling that people should be experiencing when it comes down to exhaustion that I feel like people really under-explain 90% of the time when it comes to storytelling. Exhaustion is something that people like, they have to write on a day-to-day basis because everybody gets tired. So when it comes to writing exhaustion, like that's like a common thing that people go to is like the feeling of being tired, the feeling of like the weight of the world being on top of you, or just like your body shutting down. I feel like I did a nice job on the way that I explained it, and I hope people do enjoy it, and I hope people agree with my little statement here. Again, people haven't seen it yet, but I think that as of right now, that's my favorite little section.
Oh. Well, we've got an anonymous question. Also, just to clarify, he specifically stated this. Mostly like when you're reading your story that you write and you're kind of proud of, but they didn't get it. That's what he meant by that. And we've got an anonymous question here. In your story, how emotionally attached are your characters are to each other?
What was that? Sorry.
Well, Granite clarified like mostly when they're reading your story that you write and you're kind of proud of, but they didn't get it. So I assume he means like a certain.
Oh, is there any misunderstandings that I'm proud of personally that I wrote but people didn't understand? As of right now, no. What I've written, I feel like there hasn't been any, because a lot of people haven't commented on my story, and a lot of people don't really like DM me or ask questions and stuff like that. So as far as I'm concerned, everyone does understand where I'm going. It's just, again, as I've iterated, there's just details on my part that I have failed to deliver to the audience yet that people don't understand because I haven't done enough world building and I haven't set the stage enough for people to understand what's going on everywhere.
All right. So then this one's from an anonymous. In your story, how emotionally attached are your characters to each other?
Wait, so how am I emotionally attached? I'm sorry if I'm asking this. You probably said it perfectly, but on my end it came through choppy. But how emotionally attached am I
How
to my
emotionally
own characters, or
how
to
emotionally
they to
attached
each other?
are your characters to each other? I think it's
Okay. So specifically for me, the emotional weight in between all of my characters, at least again, like assuming like they're not like, oh yeah, like like hostiles versus hostiles. I want to say there's a tightly knit bond of like brotherhood and like a tightly knit bond of like trust between every single one of them. Not to the point of like where it's family, but to the point where it's just like, yes, this is somebody that I can fall back onto. This is somebody that I can rely on to, pick up the slack that I drop. This is somebody that I can trust that will have my back.
right.
There is a few, what's it called, characters that again are off screen as of right now. There is a few screens. There is a few characters off screen right now who do have a more emotional weight to other characters than most. But again, those are off screen for a reason, and they will make an appearance later on. If you read the first book, or at least read like my little first rendition, you'll know there's a few key characters or a few key relationships that aren't present. And the reason why is they will be introduced later on. So for those of you who have read the first story, I would say go take a look at it, but I'm honestly too embarrassed about it to try and promote myself in that regard, because I'm really not proud of what I did at first. But if you want to try and get a more general grasp of like a few of the characters and a few of like the events and stuff like that do take place, and a few of the relationships that are present in that book that aren't in this book, I'd say to help you like take a guess at to what I'm talking about, go read that book. You'll get a better understanding of what I'm trying to get at here. For those of you who have not, which I assume to be almost any viewer, you will what's it called? You will be surprised to see that again, like there's a lot of like these important characters who have been just simply on the sideline, out of view from your retrospective, that will have a key part playing later on. And then my only question for that is, was that directed to both of us, or was that just to me?
I think it was just directed to you.
There you go.
Last question, again from Granite. He asked, what do you think of the fan art that he's done for both of us, and which one would probably be our favorites?
Oh boy. Okay, fan art time to talk. So, fan art specifically from Granite. For those of you guys who don't know Granite Moley has been a wonderful person to work with when it comes to like talking, not necessarily like just straight art commissions, but he's been a great guy to talk to when it comes to writing. He's also been an amazing person to interact with and just talk story details with too from time to time. Some of the interactions I've had with him have also helped better my own writing expertise, because some of the stuff that he asks that would help benefit him have also benefit myself when I go and deep dive into it. But I'd have to say the favorite piece of fan art that I have received from Granite specifically, it's probably going to be the piece that I have displayed on my Wattpad account as of right now. And it is the, color palette swapped variant of Cyrus just chilling on the mountainside. I really do enjoy the color swap. That was really cool.
I honestly have to say that for me, there is one character. There is one character that we've all been seeing in one of my stories for Wings of Freedom, and I do enjoy how he turned out. Ace, you know who he is because you hate the name, because you hate that you gave me his name. But if you want to send me that fan art, I can put it up.
Another piece of context to viewers: not only do I write for myself, I also help a lot of other people write their own stories. And unfortunately, yes, I did give this son of a bitch a character name of which I not necessarily wanted to use for myself, but I regret giving to him in hindsight. And the only reason why is because, what can I say other than I really do enjoy the name, and I wish I probably could have used it later on for another character, another story at a later date. Because one pet peeve I do have for myself is like the reoccurrence of names and stuff like that from like characters and like cross stories and everything else like that, because names in general, they're really hard to come up with. Because let's take stuff like, oh, I don't know, not necessarily like take names in particular, but let's just say like when it comes to writing stories in general, you write a name for your character and stuff like that, and then you go and like, see if anybody else has written it, and it's like, oh yeah, that name appears like another 100 times somewhere else. And it's just like, well, how do I make it unique?
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the only reason why I regret giving a name over to Raid, is because the name was, as far as I am concerned, is unique for the sake of that no one's used it yet. So maybe you guys have seen it, maybe you haven't, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I could probably share. If you send me the artwork right now, I could probably put it on screen. If you want to.
I mean, you might as well showcase this, the image in question I'm also talking about as well, but again, your call, your show.
Just want to give it over to me, then I can just show it. Let's see. Which file? Let's see. Where did I?
While he's working on that and doing anything else, is there anything from the audience? I'm actually going to come and boot up the stream real quick, and I'm actually going to check to see if there are any comments, or not comments, any questions in the comments on the video. I will have that pulled up here in just a second.
Doesn't look like it. Unload image. Right, let's see. Oop. Let's scale that down tremendously.
These typical difficulties on my. Okay, I can't see your WAPA account, sadly. Battle Brothers in Arms. Back to you in the studio. To fix that question, Vix and I will get that taken care of immediately.
Let's see. Let's just put it right here. There we go. Now, did you Nice. Do you have that artwork that you want people to see or no? Ace?
Yes.
You got that artwork or that you want people to see or no?
Nah, not really. It's good. I don't have it on hand right now. If I had it on hand, I'd give it to you.
Ah. Well, I suppose that's all the time that we have for today.
Who's your next interviewee? Is it supposed to be Trooper?
Yeah, it is supposed
Trooper
to be
JJH?
Trooper. Yep. For those of you who don't know who Trooper is, he is the author till all are what? Am I saying that right? Well, let me just fucking let me just make sure that I'm saying his name. Just make sure that I'm saying his store's name right, because fuck his shit. I would hate to be.
Jeez, language. You're on a stream, partner.
We're all adults here. We're all mostly adults here. Don't sir, we can handle a little cursing here and there.
Oh my god.
We're big boys here. We're big boys.
Well, say goodbye to any potential money that you could have earned from this.
I don't do this for money. I do this for myself. And I do this to help others.
Let's see.
Alright, let's see. Jesus Christ. Updates. There we go.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, till we are one. Till we are one. There we go. Trooper JJH is also the author of Dragonheart. Let's see, Family or Weapons, and I don't even think that he wants this. That he even works on this one anymore. But regardless, I'm just gonna bring this one up. Our Wolf Family. But yeah, he's also got a collection of short stories.
Well, you probably have a more entertainable time with him than you guys all did with me.
Probably.
Ooh, ouch, my poor heart.
Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Don't be like that. All right, now I think this is where I'm gonna cut the stream. See you later, Ace.
All right, well, take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen.